Hey everyone, welcome back to Great Sports Debates. Today we're going to give out our GSDs for this last NBA season, starting with some of the minor awards, moving up to the top awards, and then maybe a couple of surprises while we're at it. So let's jump right into this and start with Rookie of the Year. Now I know most people don't have Castle, and there's a couple of guys that had some decent counting numbers. But my pick is Zach Edey. I know others played more or had better counting numbers, but Edey was one of the only rookies that have a positive impact on the floor, in my opinion, along with Ware from Miami. So he gets the vote from me. Moving on, we'll go to Sixth Man of the Year. Now, initially, I was leaning more towards Beasley, but when I looked at the numbers and thought about the seasons, Ty Jerome probably is most deserving. He played 8 minutes less than Beasley a game, 8.5 less than Pritchard. Yet he had similar numbers on much better efficiency on a team that won a lot more games. He also had a 204 win shares per 48, which was a lot better than the other six men in the running. Going to most improved player, there's several guys that could have got it. And Daniels is definitely a good choice. But for me, I'm going Cade Cunningham. Maybe counting numbers don't look as well, but he really improved across the board. His vision's better, which is something that typically doesn't improve too much. Assist numbers went up. He's taking smarter shots. He's playing better team defense. He's giving more effort. He's being more of an alpha. He's taking tough shots when he needs to, and his efficiency has went up as a result. And I think Cade as well as Thompson are a big reason why the Pistons more than tripled their win total from a year ago. Okay, next up, we're going to do the all-defensive team. So, on the first team for me, and again, this is kind of positionless. I want to make sure we're giving it to the best guys. I got Mobley from Cleveland, which, makes sense. The guy's an interior presence. He gets steals. He gets blocks. He does everything. I got Dyson Daniels, who I think's really just underrated. Really good player. I got Lou Dort, who I've been mentioning, all last year as well, that he kind of got robbed. He should be on there. Just look at the Stars' shooting percentage when they play against him compared to normal. The guy's a menace. Derek White, who's one of my favorite players right now and one of the most underrated guys in the NBA, in my opinion. And, of course, Amen Thompson from Houston. Now, the second team, I got his brother, Ausar Thompson, and really just... try not to be too biased, but watching him a lot and the way he locks down guys, it's hard to leave him off the first team. But, he has some guys that have some really good defensive ratings, good matchups, good counting numbers. But Thompson's right there. I got Rudy Gobert, which, some people always look at as controversial. Of course, smaller guys are going to, get by him. But you can't underrate how valuable he is as a rim protector. And what he does getting rebounds and just being that inside presence really changes teams' abilities to drive to the cup. You got Giannis, who's just always a really strong defensive player. Again, year to year, he's always up there. One of the top two-way players in the league. I got Jaren Jackson. It was tough. I was kind of trying to figure out between him and Draymond Green. But I think numbers-wise, he just showed he did a little bit more. And then I got SGA. I couldn't leave him off there. His defense is really underrated. Yes, it's true he doesn't always necessarily cover the best guy, but he gets into passing lanes for steals. He can make big stops. He's a strong defender for a small guard. All right, moving on from the all-defensive team, we'll go to Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I'm not going to argue with the NBA's call on Evan Mobley. I think he's great, but It's Dyson Daniels for me. The guy's getting 3 steals a game. He takes guys man on man. He pressures guys. He's just a tough defender and one of my favorite guys to watch play. One more team here. We'll do the NBA All NBA team before we move into MVP, and then I got a couple of surprise categories. So the first team, like the first 3 guys, are far and away just the best players right now, and it's a big gap. You got Jokic, SGA, and Giannis. You know, Giannis and SGA doing it on both ends of the court. Jokic has some ability just with his size on making things tough for guys, and he's sneaky getting steals on these bigger guys that just aren't really ready for it. And obviously, he's the best offensive player in the league. Now, to me at least, the obvious 4th choice is Jason Tatum. You know, some people question his shot selection on offense, but he has a lot of ways to score, and he's a really talented defender. And if he did a little more effort and a little smarter shot selection, he could be in that top group, but he's not there yet. And then the 5th spot was hard. I got 4 different guys I could choose from there. But in the end, I went with Ant. He had the highest scoring of all of them. He's a little more efficient than the other guys. Bigger body, more of an athlete, more ability on defense, and more ability to take over games. Again, he has a problem settling for threes too often, in my opinion, but he still makes the first team here. Now, the second team starts off pretty loaded, and then again, we kind of fizzle into the same problem we have with the first team, with just not enough talent to really fill out that second team. So, Cade Cunningham, someone I could definitely make an argument for our first team. He's approved all across the board. Guy does it all. Great passer, gets a lot of rebounds, plays big, makes it tough for teams on defense. Got a lot smarter on team defense, better rotations, better shot selection. When he's aggressive, he's just hard to stop getting to the basket because he's so big and so quick. And the shot's developing as well. Donovan Mitchell's another guy that can take over games. Didn't quite do it as often this year for Cleveland, but definitely again showed the ability to come playoff time. Somehow he comes up short and hasn't got out of the second round. But the guy's just a dog, man. Like, he really can take over games. And I like Donovan Mitchell's game. And for people that's saying that Cleveland needs to get rid of him, I just don't get it. Like, there's not a lot of guys you can replace better than Donovan Mitchell. Okay, a guy that I might have said some bad things about, and I do think he's a bit of a flopper, and I do think he gets away with a lot of stuff offensively, but there's no denying the dog or the results in Jalen Brunson. The guy's just amazing. He gets into the lane. He causes havoc. Defenses have to collapse. Nobody's staying in front of that guy one-on-one. He collapses defense, and he's really leading New York again. And guys just have to make open shots for New York to win games. Jalen Brunson's a tough dude, and even though he's small on defense, man, he makes some plays there too, despite his small stature. Okay, the last 2 spots could have been several different directions here. Again, nobody that really jumped up and earned the second team. But guys I got in there by default. Cat, kind of hard to argue his all-around numbers, plus New York's success with him. He's got a good shot. I feel like he'd still be better off posting up more. He's not always super aggressive, but kind of at this point, there's a lot of guys that just really aren't, which I don't understand. But he does a lot of things on both ends. Tough, get rebounds. Definitely earned second team this year. And then, like we were saying, not because of a standout season or, another like all-time year, but I slid LeBron on there just, with his ability, what he's done across the board, what he's done for this team, and just the fact that there's some guys that were honorable mentions, whether it's due to just so many games missed. Wemby could have been a top second team guy, maybe even a first team guy. You got AD, who, apparently most people don't think too well of, but, You kind of saw postseason time, like he's a big presence miss, two-way player. Yeah, Luka, who's brilliant on the offensive end, and Jimmy Butler, and all these guys, played like 50-some games or less. With that, we get to the top award, which is the MVP. Everyone knows it was a two-way race, and even though SGA's team won more games, and he's probably a little better on the defensive end, Jokic is having a historic season. And not to take anything away from SGA, because that's a year that would be MVP most years. And I get it, he didn't get it last year either, and he played well. But you got to give the award to Jokic. I mean, every big metric, every advanced number, his numbers on the court compared to where he's off is just historic levels. Jokic is having one hell of a game, and he's carrying that Denver Nuggets team. So, with that being said, those are our GSD awards. I'm going to throw in a couple of bonus things I just kind of threw together. And this is kind of a mix of guys I like, don't like, overrated, underrated. Let's start with the all overrated team, okay? And I'm going to try to give some context behind these picks, before people go crazy in the comments. So, I got Luka Doncic on this list. And not that he's not great, but we all know he's terrible on defense, which, offense is more important than defense in the NBA, in my opinion, for certain. And he does a lot on the offensive end, but people act like this guy's the face of the league. He's the top player. When that trade happened, I was saying to people, like, wait a minute, like, right now at this point, I'm not sure Luka has a bigger impact than AD. And, of course, AD goes and gets hurt the first game he's having, but that first game he was having was probably better than any Luka put on for a season with the Lakers. And he's a really gifted offensive player, but I think his conditioning, which I don't know why people are questioning, it's obviously a question. Like, I don't know that he's getting better. People are expecting, he's coming into his prime. His best years might be behind him. The guy's getting bigger, and he's a liability on defense. And that's always going to hurt come playoff time. Okay, next on the all-overrated team, I got Trae Young. People talk about him like he's a top guard. He's super inefficient. Yes, he gets a lot of assists, but he has a lot of usage too. He has the ball. He gets a lot of turnovers. I do like his vision, but he takes way too many bad shots, and he's a total liability on defense. Trae Young, I don't think he's a plus player, but he's not an all-star caliber player, in my opinion. Next on that list is Dame Lillard. You can check the video here. The day that trade was made, we made a video here, and we said we don't think that the Bucks won the trade, let alone people talking about them winning a title now because they have Dame and Giannis. Dame's just taking away shots from Giannis, and he's not a good shooter to begin with. He's hit some big shots and big moments, and that's typically what people remember. If somebody has a good playoff run or a good finals run, they'll be overrated for lifetime. And that's the case here with Dame, despite his big moments being in first-round playoff series. All right, 2 more to go on the all-overrated team. I got Ja Morant. And again, this is kind of like Luka. Not to say Ja isn't good, but his numbers are declining across the board, and I just don't think he's the player that some people think that he is. And finally, Kyle Kuzma. And not that many people think that much of Kyle Kuzma, but he's made a lot of money in this league off potential. And the guy's just not that good to begin with. He's streaky. If you take enough shots, some days you're going to have good nights. And for all the things people say he does well, he always disappoints in the big moments. Just not a big Kyle Kuzma fan. And then finally, to wrap it up, we're going to do our all underrated team. Of course, we got my favorite player on there, Asur Thompson. I mean, he just takes the top players out of the game. He's athletic. Yes, his offense is limited, but he's good in the fact that he understands it's limited, so he's not taking a lot of the shots. Most of his, scoring is putbacks, layups, dunks, and hence why he shoots over 50% from the field. Derek White is definitely turning into one of my favorite players. I think people just don't realize how valuable he is to Boston. He's such a ball hawk. He's such a good defender. He plays so hard. He can hit the open three. He can get to the lane. He's very smart, very high basketball IQ, always makes the right play. Great team defender, great one-on-one defender, great run down, block the ball, steal it from you, hustle play defender. Like, that guy is maximizing. He's getting 99% out of what his body can do. Okay, also on this list, I got Tyrese Halliburton. And again, this is one where it's just like, people don't talk about him a whole lot. And he's one of the better point guards in the league. He's got great vision. He's smart with the ball. He doesn't get a lot of stupid turnovers. He can score when he needs to, but he usually just makes the best play and finds guys for wide open shots. And he does a lot that contributes to winning basketball. And I think he's a player that makes a difference. Okay, next up we have Sabonis. It's no mystery, where he goes, teams get better. He didn't get a lot of help this year. All the players he was supposed to have help, got injured, sat out, whatever, but this guy does everything the right way. He takes smart shots. He scores in close. He scores at a high efficiency. He gets tons of rebounds. He knows his role. He does it well. All the small things, picks, screens, loose balls. This guy's on top of it. Another guy that just makes winning basketball plays. And then finally, this is one people are probably going to strongly agree with or strongly disagree with. I got Zion. A lot of people say he's trash. Yes, he is injured all the time. Don't like the work ethic, but the skills that this guy has, if he was on a real team that force-fed him the ball with his efficiency, the way he can score, his ability on defense, maybe he figures it out and puts it all together one day. But when I'm saying he's underrated, it's because a lot of people are talking about him as like he's a bust or he's done. And I still think this guy could be a top NBA player. So that's the list. Let me know in the comment section what you agree with, what you disagree with. And as always, thanks for watching.